Every breath a trans person takes is an act of revolution. I don't know what it means to be a trans woman. I don't need to know. What I do know is that my sisters are dying. They're not just dying. They're being killed. No, we cannot accept this. I wanted to make the Women's Freedom Conference a place where trans women are centered. Because nobody needs the amplification more than them right now. I encountered Lourdes on Twitter, and I was like, well, who is this calling me a goddess? Talking about blessings, who is this? Let me find out who this is with this killer smile. Have you seen this woman smile? Every picture. You ain't gonna get a bad one. And then I found out that she was the founder and executive director of the Trans Women of Color Collective. And here's their mission: to uplift the narratives, the lived experiences, and the leadership of trans and gender non-conforming people of color, our families and comrades, as we build toward collective liberation for oppressed people. Collective liberation for oppressed people. See, they are considering us when we don't consider them.
How you doing?
They are fighting for us when we don't fight for them.
Talk about
it. That's going to end today. I watched some of her speeches, and I was just so moved by everything that she brought. She is a healer. You're going to get a healing tonight. And she keeps saying, if I just touch one, but she's going to touch 1,000. I know this. In perpetuity, because this is going to be available for those who couldn't pay attention today, who didn't want to pay attention today. You're going to get it at some point. You're going to get what you need to hear. I don't have to speak for trans women. Trans women speak for themselves. Without further ado, I want to bring Lourdes Hunter.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. Good evening, everyone. My name is Lourdes Ashley Hunter, and I'm super, super excited to be here. But before I begin, I just want to show just a small clip video of the work I do and the work that I've been blessed to be able to do with an amazing team. So bear with us as we work on these technical. I want the people out there to be able to see.
Alon Meadows, a Black trans woman, was walking with her friends in Harlem when a group of men began to catcall them. One of the men pummeled Alon to her death. She was 21 years old. During this time, our community was broken. It was like we all had been attacked. In that moment, we decided to come together to hold each other, to support each other, and to lift each other up.
Today we gather because one of our sisters. Oh no. Just reload.
The devil's a liar.
A liar. A liar.
Never.
Oh.
That'll be our website.
There we go. Download the video.
Boom, push. Yes.
In 2013, Alon Meadows, a Black trans woman, was walking with her friends in Harlem when a group of men began to catcall them. One of the men pummeled Alon to her death. She was 21 years old. During this time, our community was broken. It was like we all had been attacked. In that moment, we decided to come together to hold each other, to support each other, and to lift each other up.
Today we gather because one of our sisters has fallen. Another one of our sisters has been denied her right to move, her right to breathe, her right to thrive unapologetically in her truth.
Trans Women of Color Collective was born out of a need for our community to engage in collective healing and restoration, to celebrate our lives and our legacy through fellowship, and create revolutionary change that shift paradigms in social justice movements.
TWOCC means divine purpose made manifest. It means sisterhood. It means affirmation. It means ancestral purpose birthed anew.
And in spite of the obstacles we face, it is clear our communities are resourceful, resilient, and quite capable to lead our movements. In fact, they must lead our movements. It is our destiny. We celebrate our sisterhood, our brotherhood, our kinship, and our country. We are all family. TWOCC receives $0 from the government or any major LGBT organizations. Our work is completely funded by private donors who are everyday citizens like you and me, revolutionary freedom fighters. Now is the time to pour our bountiful seed into the works of organizations and initiatives that are led by and for Black trans women, creating revolutionary change. Because now more than ever, young Black trans people, our families and communities, our partners and our friends desire to heal from collective trauma, restore our collective leadership and legacy. We rap and fellowship with folks like us so that we can move to action to sustain the change that we seek in our lives. Everyone out there is listening, please.
Right. Thank you. Oh, it's gotta go around.
Yeah, we gotta.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we practiced this earlier.
We practiced this earlier.
All right, let's hold that up because I want to make sure that you're over here and that you
Absolutely.
can be seen.
Let's pull up my speech.
Yes, I'll pull up your speech right now. Let's turn it up. And let's turn it down. I mean, this is a live conference. This is what we're going to do when this Freedom Conference doc. There we go.
Okay.
And all you got to do is scroll.
I want to see myself too.
Okay. Well, listen. Listen. Wait, okay. So let me pull that one up. Oh, goodness. Where do we go with that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to close it.
Mm-hmm.
I can wait, though. Yeah. So here.
Have folks been enjoying the conference thus far?
You'll be able to see yourself.
Make some noise if you've been enjoying the conference thus far.
You'll be able to see something.
I've come a long way to be here with you today, and I'm really, really excited. And I'm honored, and I want to start with honoring the land and honoring our ancestors, our deities, those who have fallen, those who have come before us, who can't be with us today. I want to honor those who have paved the way for me to stand here today, to occupy this space. And for them, I say Ashe. Of course, I am Lourdes Ashley Hunter, a native Detroiter. I am an orator, an academic, a healer. I love gardening, and I'm a great cook. I enjoy walks in the park with my dog, Cashmere, for those single men out there, just so you know. I do not use pronouns. You can refer to me as Goddess, Queen, Sister. I also use Goddess, Queen, Sister to affirm and be affirmed. And yes, Goddess, Queen, Sister is gender neutral. Goddess, Queen, Sister is also a greeting, a salutation, a place of alignment, to be said in place of agreement, to be uttered in reverence and in honor, to pay homage, to lift up. So when you greet me, when you see a goddess queen sister, when you engage me, when you speak my name, know that your words have tremendous value. Know that you are pouring into my life source and making it enabling me to be able to pour into others. Here's a good one. I do not identify as female. Fuck the gender binary. Although my gender marker or my identification does say female, I want you to understand how that is a tool of survival. I understand that I show up in spaces and am perceived as presenting as female. It's quite strategic. You see, it's another tool of survival. Because if you don't show up in the presentation that society says is acceptable, you will be susceptible to violence, attack, catcalling. Many times for trans women of color, it results in death. And so I want us to be clear. At the end of the day, I am gender non-conforming, but my presentation is an act of survival, just like your presentation is an act of survival. This is not something that is indicative to trans people. The women in the room, you know, if you don't beat that face for points, doors may not be opened, right? You may not be treated with pleasantries, but fuck them pleasantries. Why do I have to wear makeup to show up for you men? Why do I have to wear a dress and stilettos to be seen as my full self? And I just wanted to say that so that I can be affirmed in the space and also to affirm anyone else who rejects socially constructed roles and expectations of gender. For anyone who has been told that their gender identity is not normal, is weird, is out of place, I stand firm in my affirmation for any person who is continuously misgendered and have been told to be patient with others as they work through their own ignorance, self-hate, and unlearning of white supremacist, cis, hetero, ableist patriarchy. I want to welcome you to the Women's Freedom Conference. Welcome. I said I want to welcome you to the Women's Freedom Conference. We have gathered here to center and amplify the unique voices and experiences of the underrepresented women who have been disenfranchised beyond gender alone. Women of color whose identities are intersectional and whose womanhood is shaped and defined by those intersections. I want to shout out the Women's Freedom Conference team. Y'all make some noise for the Women's Freedom Conference team, because it was comprised of women of color who are revolutionary, who are freedom fighters, who are advancing the narratives of women all across this globe. And I definitely want to speak honor and homage to Feminista Jones for her vision, her dedication, and her leadership. Make some noise. To all of the volunteers, the folks who tweeted, the folks who contributed financially to make this event come to life, and of course the lovely people who are attending and watching via live stream, because you know, as trans women of color, we don't get to be in spaces and be safe. A lot of times marches and rallies and conferences are not built with intentionality to center our experiences. And so as trans women of color, we love media. And we use media to reach our community because we know our communities are experiencing violence every day. We wake up in a world that is designed to erase us from the face of this earth. So I want you to take an opportunity to look around the room. And I'm honored to be here, to be wrapped in such brilliance, to hear from, heal with, and learn from the prolific goddess queen sisters from all over the world who are living unapologetically in our truths. What a joy to be supported, to be lifted up, and to be celebrated by my comrades, my peers, and my colleagues. It's a very integral part of freedom, of liberation. And I'll use those words interchangeably today, so please follow along. I'm definitely honored to be back here in New York City. I lived here for 12 years. There's so many memories, so many triggers, so many triumphs. New York City, yes, it's true. New York City is the birthplace of TWOCC, Trans Women of Color Collective. Are y'all familiar with TWOCC? I said, are y'all familiar with TWOCC? So I want to shout out to the women who came together on that night in September when Alon Nettles was brutally murdered outside of a New York City police station. We came together to support each other, to lift each other up, and to hold each other, because we could no longer wait for you motherfuckers to do a damn thing about it. So I want to shout out Madison St. Clair, Vanessa Victoria, Coco Jones, Daniela Carter, Janet Mock, Octavia Lewis, Laverne Cox, Katrina Goodlett, Kokomo, Nala Simone, Brooke Serta Guzman, and Perna Samprat. These women had the vision. These women had the commitment to come together for us to build something more than what we were given. I say their names and I lift them up because for far too long, our names are only mentioned in death. For far too long, our names are not even mentioned at all. So I want to honor those who are no longer with us, those who have been taken away from us by a system designed to erase us off the face of this earth, a system that is reinforced by state-sanctioned violence that deny us opportunity to housing, healthcare, employment, education. And at this time, we're going to play a video, a short video, to honor the 20+ trans women of color who have been brutally murdered in this nation with no national outrage.
She was 20 years old. Not even called. Think about number now. Here's my show. She was killed in broad daylight. Accountability is uncomfortable. But we still gotta take it sometimes. Responsibility for what we've been for. Got a choice to make, we still gotta make it sometimes. Not another one, not another one, not one more, sister. Not another one, not another one, not one more, sister. Say names, be proud, speak it aloud. People like to be quiet. I'm excited about things to breathe. Now you've been me. If she was a white girl, she could still be alive. Accountability is uncomfortable. But we still gotta take it sometimes. Responsibility for what we've been through. Got a choice to make, we still gotta make It's alright. Not another one. Not another one. Not one more. Not one more, sister. Not another one. Not another one. Not one more, sister. And dear heart, say your name. Can't say how you say your name. Why didn't you know? Say your name. Treat you like I say your name. Recollect, I say your name. Yasmin Rain, I say your name. Let me have you. I say your name. I say your name. I say your name. God is separate. I say your name. Speak bread. I say your name. I say his lips. I say your name. I say your name. 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 I say your name. Will you say your name?
Existing in the body as trans, gender non-conforming, indigenous, Black, woman, ain't been no crystal stair.
Come on, Daddy.
You know, I never knew that LGBT organizations and social justice organizations inextricably benefit from the structural violence trans women of color face. I had no ideas that these organizations didn't work from the margins, that they are not deeply invested in the socio-economic growth and development of those most disproportionately impacted by structural oppression: Black, trans, gender non-conforming, people of color. I didn't know that trans women of color were being brutally murdered with impunity with no national outrage, just like in Detroit, Savannah, Georgia, Los Angeles, Washington, DC, Brazil, Columbus, Uganda. You see, growing up in Detroit, I lived this sheltered life with my family and my mother who supported me and loved me. I didn't know that my mom was really acting to protect me from the violence she knew that I would face as an adult. So in Detroit, 2002, I had the opportunity to escape the violence, discrimination, and death that was happening. I saw too many of my sisters murdered right in front of my face. Tanya Dior, just moments before she asked me for a cigarette. A man walked up to her on Woodward Avenue and shot her dead. She was my sister. And I've seen so many of my sisters discarded by a system reinforced by state-sanctioned violence. The lack of access to housing, healthcare, education, employment was killing us, is killing us, is killing us all. I knew that we needed to engage in some healing. I knew that we must create opportunities for wholeness, to love, to be loved, to laugh, to be held, to hold each other. I knew that in order to celebrate my sisters, that I had to also honor their stories and pour into their dreams. In order for me to be filled, I had to also feel some other folk. And the only way for me to experience freedom, to experience liberation, was to be deeply invested in the freedom and liberation of others. It is critical for us to collectively shift from surviving to thriving. We must invest in shifting from victimhood to personhood. I can remember when I moved to New York City in 2002, I deeply wanted to experience freedom. I escaped Detroit because there was and still are no protections or opportunities for trans women of color to be supported, lifted up, and to move from surviving to thriving. I had to make the choice to leave my mother, to leave my family, because if I didn't, like Goddess Chernobiko says, I could be next. I arrived at Penn Station on that hot day in August 13th, on a one-way bus ticket with $20 in my pocket and the clothes on my back. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have a job or a place to stay, but what I did have was vision beyond my current circumstance. What I did know that trouble don't last always. What I did know that my God did not bring me this far just to leave me. I also knew that we are not free until we all get free. I had no idea that I would be faced with living in a men's shelter for 21 months. I was not prepared to endure the sexual harassment and rape I had to face every night. I had no idea that I would face the threat of violence in a state that didn't give a fuck about me or a fuck about my sisters. I did not know that the NYPD profiled, stalked, raped, and routinely beat trans women of color in the West Village and in motherfucking Columbus Heights, not Columbus Heights. You know, the Columbus Heights, that's in DC where I live now. But you know, they got, what's this, is the Columbus Heights here? Washington Heights. It's been a while since I lived here, but the violence that happens here happens everywhere else. So whatever city is in, it's still the same violence, and that shit is fucked up. And to that shit, I say fuck that shit. Because it's time for us to divest in this white supremacist tactics and respectability politics that work to divide and conquer. And let's talk about how our movements have been usurped with narratives of intersectionality, equality, and allies leading from a place of savior complex. Let's talk about this bullshit called diversity and inclusion. These are assimilation tactics steeped in white supremacist, cis-het colonist narratives that I reject with my whole heart. With my whole heart, I reject your white supremacist tactics. If we are ever going to be free, we must work from a place of intentionality, not intersectionality. We must form partnerships and work collaboratively. Folks must recognize how they show up and occupy spaces. Let me be more specific. Cis folk need to recognize how they show up and occupy spaces. White folk need to understand and recognize how they show up and occupy spaces. Men, I said men need to understand and recognize how they take up too much motherfucking space. Y'all must like men taking up spaces because y'all quiet up in here. You must have missed church this morning, but I came to bring a word. And if you're not here to hear this word, the door is there, but I'm gonna need you to cheer me on. I see you tweeting me. That's right, that's right. It is time that we break these systems of trauma that have so many of us deeply invested in. We need to acknowledge the ways in which we have been hurt, have hurt each other, and then we need to stop that shit. Okay, y'all must be happy. Let me say that again. We must acknowledge the ways that we have been hurt. It's okay to say, you know what, sister, you hurt me. That hurt. You know what, brother, that hurt. That really, really hurt. I'm laid on the floor with oppression and your motherfucking boot is on my neck. I just want you to know that that shit hurts and that shit needs to stop. And so we need to acknowledge that. Yes, hurt people, but when are we going to stop hurting ourselves? When are we going to divest in the ways in which we are engaging in creating trauma for ourselves and for others? When are we going to invest in collective healing and collective liberation for all oppressed people? And if we're ever going to be free, we must work from a place of intentionality. We must form partnerships and work collaboratively. Folks must recognize how they show up. We must work as co-conspirators and comrades. Fuck your allyship.
That's right.
Fuck your allyship. Fuck your allyship. You thought you wasn't oppressed? You thought that you wasn't oppressed? Oppression manifests in every aspect of all our lives. Tell me your identity and I'll tell you how you oppress. You a white man, capitalism oppress your ass. You a white woman, what they call it, patriarchy gonna oppress your ass. So don't sit up here and tell me that I'm an ally as if you're othering oppression. We are all oppressed and we need to recognize how oppression shows up in our lives. And we also need to recognize how we are agents of oppression. You ain't got to be white to employ white supremacists. Wait. You ain't got to be white to employ white supremacist tactics. And now for the close. When I think about freedom, I think about waking up without the threat of violence. I think about breathing without having to ask. I think about going to the market and not having to put on makeup. I think about not having my gender policed. I think about not having my gender called into question, interrogated, and subjugated by socially constructed performance norms. Y'all must like that. You must like to perform for men. Oh, okay, I just wanted to make you sure. Right. When I think about freedom, I think about my mother and her not having to receive a phone call to come and identify my body. I don't think you understand the average age of a trans woman of color is less than 35 years old. I am 39 years old. That means I'm living on borrowed time. I said I'm living on borrowed time. I said I'm living on borrowed time. And that's why when I say every breath a trans person takes is an act of revolution, because we don't know if the next breath will be snatched away by some ignorant, bigot, self-centered, self-hating, cis-white, cis-black man. And I also want to talk about how women are complicit in the violence. I said I want to talk about you cis women. When you're outing trans women, that's an act of violence. I understand you got a trans girlfriend and y'all went to the club, y'all had a few drinks, and you see that boy looking her fat ass. Your trans girlfriend is out there throwing that ass in a circle. You feel some type of way because you over there watching the purses, right? And you see these men are interested in her and they like her. And you go over there and say, you know that's a man, don't you? Bitch, what the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong? You must want your ass whooped. You are putting us in danger of violence. Stop that shit, okay? Because the same man that will fuck you and will beat you is gonna be the same man I'm going to fuck and will put his hands on me. So at what time are we gonna join together? And when are we gonna join together? Last night, I hosted a dinner party with a few friends from New York City. A few people who have been near and dear to me. My comrades who held me down, held me accountable, loved all on me, even when I was at my worst, celebrated me, even in my faults, stood by me, even when I hurt them. My daughter Raquel came out to join us. Some of our TWOCC co-founders and leadership, Nala Simone, Vanessa Victoria, Katrina Goodlett, Madison St. Clair, Samantha Joe, came out to support the dinner. I also want to shout out the revolutionary Kristen Parker and Lala Zanel and Elizabeth Rivera. I love my goddess queen sisters. If you want to sit up here and talk about that trans women of color, they don't get along, all they do is fight, there's no leadership, fuck you in the boat you ran it on, because me and my girls hold it down. I also want to shout out, and I could never forget my king, Celine Butler, Gigi, and Taj, who means so much to me, who showed up in the space and said, this is not about me. This is about supporting the sisterhood. These men understand that a supportive role is a leadership role. I'm gonna say it again. A supportive role is a leadership role. The white man gives out Oscars for them. You ever seen that woman? I want to thank all my family and my friends for winning the supportive role. So if you cannot be happy supporting the dreams and visions of other people, who the fuck you think gonna support you? That's right. When I think about freedom, I think about 20 Black trans people gathered around a table, laughing, breaking bread, good wine, shots of Patron, taking selfies, sticky wings, celebrating each other, loving each other, lifting each other up. We don't get to celebrate each other often. We live in a world that tells us to compete against each other, to fight each other, to tear each other down. We live in a world that tells us that we are not worthy of love. We are not worthy to be loved. That even when we give love, it ain't worth shit. I want to let you know that my love has tremendous power. I said my love has tremendous power. My love moves mountains. My love splits oceans. My love heals hearts. I want to honor and lift up my amazing family who came out to show me love, to celebrate our kinship, to put the bad blood behind us, to look towards a bright future where we are all free. Last night, I experienced just a little taste of what it looked like to live in a world where trans people of color are free to live and exist without question, without interrogation, without subjugation. And it felt good. It felt real good. I woke up to a bed full of Black trans people. I don't know what you did last night. But I woke up this morning and there was about 5 Black trans people laid up in that king size bed and I couldn't find my panties. But no, I never sleep with panties, but no. And so in closing, I want to leave you with these final words, because this is very good makeup. My sister Samantha, she let that MAC touch this face, and I want to make sure that we can take pictures after and have cocktails after. But I want to leave you with these final words, because people don't believe these things. And I want you to know it's so true. Even when we've been hurt, we've been torn down by the same people that we've fed, that have slept on our sofas, that we have given the last dollar out our pocket. I want you to understand that no one is disposable. You can love them from afar. You can love them later as you heal. You can allow them time to heal. No one is disposable. There is room at the table for all of us. Now, don't get it wrong. There's a time where you may not be able to sit with us because accountability is a gift. And when you messy, you messy. But there's room for you after you have healed and you're ready to join us. And the last thing I want to leave with you is that none of us are free until we all get free. Ashe? 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 And thank you so much. Is it time to throw that ass in a circle?
Just one time against the wall, we throw it. Please, one more time, please, for this phenomenal. Where are your edges? Where are your edges? I'm gone. They was already gone, but now I can't even catch up a little bit. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Oh. What? How do you? Well, the only reason why I can keep going is because I know that we have more to show. This conference ain't over. I said I was giving you 12 hours. We're giving you 12 hours. We have a hip-hop journalist from Australia, Middle Eastern hip-hop journalist from Australia. We have a presentation on sexual violence within the Southeast Asian community. Hood feminism is coming back and talking about navigating geek spaces, which is very, very important. And as I told y'all earlier, Mel and Honey are gonna talk to you live from Pittsburgh. And there's been wine, and there ain't been no sleep, like that new Janet song. They've been up 48 hours or so. So you're gonna get that real. But before I go and turn it back over to them, I just want to thank our volunteers. We had about 40 volunteers working on this over the last 11 months. It takes a lot to put something like this together. Yeah. And I just thank you for believing. Our advisory board, first thing I did was I built an advisory board that comprised of so many different women representing so many different identities, and our keynote speaker was one of the women on the board. And if you go and you can look and see womensfreedomconference.com/team, you'll see all of our advisors. I really want to shout out Jamie Broadnax from Black Girl Nerds, who has done so much to support us. Reagan Gomez, the actress, now she's got Surviving the Dead, the series. This woman is so dynamic. I want to thank Linda Sarsour, who is one of the most incredible activists of our time. I want to thank Janetta Elzie, who you all know as Netta on Twitter, and she's been really doing this, and she's been supporting us. I want to thank every single person, Caroline, gosh, I don't even have the list up. So many women who joined our advisory board and going to help us turn this into a nonprofit for next year. I want to thank everybody that was on the organizational team and the leadership team. Carolyn, Leslie, Evelyn, B Kwame was our international woman. She made sure that this went global. We had advisors in South Africa and in Paris, and we had people all over the world making sure that this went global and that people could see it everywhere. Because as Jamila Aisha said earlier, we have to connect across the world. We have to harness the power of womanhood. We have to embrace this solidarity, and we can make the world a better place. I want to thank every single volunteer, everybody who was up late last night transcribing so that our deaf community and hard of hearing community could read along with our presentations. We want to thank our sign language interpreters that are here today, making this even more accessible. We're going to get way better next year. We're hoping for a grant for our captioning, okay? So one of you companies out there can sponsor our closed captioning and our live captioning. We really would appreciate that. I want to thank every person who inspired us to put this online, because the crowds are harmful for you, because you are not mobile, because when you reach for the door, you can't walk out. I want to thank everybody who inspired this, every mother who had 5 kids that she couldn't find care for and has never been to a conference in her life that watched this today with her children. Okay. I want to thank everyone who may be in a facility right now receiving treatment, but you have access to your internet and you were able to watch this and you got something from our mental health talks. You're not alone. I want to thank the babies.
The babies.
I want to thank the future for inspiring us to keep doing this. And I want to thank all of you watching, and all of you here today, but all of you watching, and the thousands of people that have tuned in today. I want to thank Majora Carter, and I want to thank Dior Vargas for teaching us classes today. When you take classes from people, you should be paying them. Stop asking and demanding that we educate you for free. This knowledge don't come free. If we share it, we choose to share it, but don't demand it. And when somebody's teaching a class, pull up a seat and drop some coins. That's how this works.
Speak live.
Because y'all pay white men out the ass. If you ever sat at a panel and there's a white man on it and you are not a white man, trust and believe he's getting paid more than you. Ask him how much while the microphone is on. Put his ass on the spot. Until we get to that place, we're going to keep having women's freedom conferences. We're going to keep reaching everyone around the globe. We're going to keep making this as accessible as possible, and we welcome your input and any ideas that you have how we can improve this. We will be sending out a survey because your opinion matters, your feedback matters. And we will be doing this again next year. I want to remind everybody we did this on October 25th, which is the 18th anniversary of the Million Woman March that took place in Philadelphia, because we believe that women of color matter. I'm going to send it back to the team in Pittsburgh so you can get these remaining presentations where it ain't over. It's over here. We got wine, but it ain't over. So go back to what you're doing. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate everybody for helping me make my dream come true. Thank you. Woo! Are we still live? We're probably still live. We're still live, y'all. We're still live. That's all right, though. Come, let's take pictures. Come on, let's take pictures. Let's get our pictures. We got this over here. We're going to cut out that top part, but we're going to get these pictures. Somebody, I want to get a picture. Who's tall? I'm kind of arching. Throwing my ass. No, so much of it. So much of it. With pain, you can get it all in one thing. Actually, it takes some.
You want headshot?
Yeah, like kind of up here.
Your seat.
Please make sure y'all take pictures. Emily got this made it so nice. Oh, wait, am I still live? Are we still live? Are we still live? No? Yes? Are we still live?
This is live, but I don't know. You know what, I'm going to go to the
Are we still live? Because I got to think. Is it still live? I don't know if it's still live.
No.
It's not, okay.
The standby pickup.
I didn't think responses. Okay. Be sure to think.
Thank you. Yeah.
I added you on Facebook.
Oh, yes.
Such a highly a fan of yours.
I really appreciate it.
So we had to have
This
someone
is
from the
exactly
board
what
here.
we needed. This is exactly what we needed. Oh my gosh. Please make sure you guys take pictures and have fun. Okay, we have snacks. Hello, we have refreshments. Take them home. Do what you need to do.